All right, everybody. Thanks so much for joining us today. I'm Lynn Yeldell, and I'm partner here at Seventh Scout. And first thing, just kind of want to check in and make sure everybody's doing okay during these times, and check in on how you're doing. Uh, there's a lot of work that we've been doing and talking about how can businesses survive as clients are ordered to stay home, conferences are postponed or even canceled altogether, and marketing budgets are definitely slashed. And we all struggle to adjust to an unpredictable and unsteady economic environment. We're an Austin-based agency. We were shocked when news broke on March 6th that Austin Mayor Steve Adler ordered the cancellation of one of the largest interactive film, music, education, and more conferences, South by Southwest. We shifted from prepping for our own panels to prepping for our clients' futures. How can business continue with the world staying at home? Well, as a digital marketing agency, we are not an essential business, but we sure have been a busy one. And for that, we're super grateful. Our work is based on the foundations of inbound marketing, which is a strategy designed to grow businesses organically by attracting and engaging and converting and delighting the ideal customer. In fact, Forrester research says that when companies excel at inbound, they can generate 50% more sales ready leads at 33% lower costs. I mean, those numbers sound good to companies who had made budget cuts because of the coronavirus pandemic. So, today we want to share with you kind of some of the strategies that our clients are implementing. And with that, I'm going to introduce our team. The folks on the call with you today are myself, my partner, Rhodes Gibson. He's our Director of Digital, and also our partner, Eve, who is our lead graphic designer and a brilliant strategist. You'll be hearing from some of us along the way, and I'm going to try and keep us on task for these first 30 minutes. But we would love to have you, in the Q&A, tell us a little bit about why you're here. Are you an agency? Are you a business? Or do you do B2B? Are you B2C? Anything that you share with us can help us make sure we have a better use of all of our time. So moving ahead, I kind of want to do a little time stamp. We talked about South by Southwest being canceled early March. By request of some organizations that we're affiliated with, we did our first webinar on April 1st, and it was called the do's and don'ts of digital marketing in coronavirus time. It was pretty successful, and we had some questions from people, and it's because of your asks and your curiosity and your needs that we built out this this curriculum, if you will. The next one, we talked about search engine optimization. We know everybody's at home, so how can you be found online since brick and mortar and going to your stores were no longer an option? And so that's a lot of good tips of search engine optimization. And then if you're practicing great search engine optimization techniques and so forth, how do you know if it's working? So on April 29th, we did a webinar on ROI and analytics. We also know that social media is super important these days. So our May 13th webinar talked about engaging social media. And then finally today is inbound marketing strategies. If you missed any of these sessions, don't worry. We have a blog, seventhscout.com. Go to our blog section. We have each of these that have been posted, as this one will be as well, so you can watch the videos, get links to a lot of the charts and so forth. So what are we talking about today? We're talking about inbound marketing strategy. These first three topics that we're going through, how to market in a recession, it's time for personas and new personas if you've already made them, and then crisis communications. That's all a lot of very specific marketing during coronavirus times, things that we're seeing happening. The last four are more kind of tried and true inbound marketing strategies. We want to make sure that everyone understands what we mean about inbound versus outbound, how inbound builds brand awareness and trust, how you can get inbound in action on your websites and within your company, and then automation tools so you can focus on what's important and have the tools automated for the blocking and tackling of inbound marketing. I love this quote. If you would have told any business owner, any agency, really any person, any parent, that we would be having a global pandemic right now, we would be a whole lot more prepared, right? No one saw this one coming. And it's kind of like that Chinese proverb, when's the best time to plant a tree? It was 20 years ago. The second best time, it's now. So the best time for us to prepare for a pandemic was years ago, months ago, weeks ago, days ago. But the second best time is just to start today. So when we started in April, we were unsure of the length and the severity of the impact the coronavirus would bring on our economy. As of May 21st, last week, more than 38 million people have filed unemployment claims. It's eye-opening for small businesses like ours because the true number of the unemployed is likely higher, because the Department of Labor does not include hundreds and thousands of self-employed and gig economy workers. So a recent survey from the Census Bureau found that from the economic fallout from the pandemic, it's widespread. About half of all adults say that they or a member of their household has lost their income since mid-March. 4 in 10 expected that they or someone else would lose their income in the next 4 weeks. Experts expect that the unemployment rate, which hit a stunning 14.7% last week, is going to grow higher. Now let's put some of this in perspective. During the Great Depression, 1933, it was about 25%. In the financial crisis of 2008 and 2009, it was about 10%. During normal months, it's probably in the mid 3% range. So we haven't hit Great Depression levels, but we're about double where we were about 50% over where we were in 08 and 09. So why am I sharing all this bad news? Well, we're a data-driven agency, folks, and that's a fact. That's what's going on. But with this data, we have been able to kind of see what happens next. And one of the things I know is I can almost see it right now. It's like your boss runs into your office or your Zoom meeting, because they're reading the same headlines that we are, and they're saying you need to cut marketing expenses, or worse, you are the boss and you have no clue where to start. Well, we've been here before-ish. We're now marketing in a recession, which now people are calling the Great Lockdown. So marketing in a recession, budget cuts really need to be made with a scalpel, not with a sledgehammer. Use a scalpel, not a sledgehammer, on your long-term marketing budget. That was a quote by Rand Fishkin, the founder of inbound marketing software firm Moz and market research startup SparkToro. He recently tweeted, quote, you have to make marketing cuts? Don't use a sledgehammer, use a scalpel. Otherwise, you could cut revenue-generating channels and spend. That's revenue that is saving people's jobs. So Rand's statement makes a lot of sense, right? It says analyze all of your marketing channels and the performance levels of each to make informed decisions about what long-term marketing strategies will continue to work during a recession and which can be scaled back or retooled. So companies that lower marketing budgets or eliminate them altogether during recession put themselves at risk when economic uncertainty subsides. There is an end to this. So how do you find that scalpel and not use the sledgehammer? Well, this is a great graphic from a Harvard Business Review article called Roaring Out of a Recession. Again, all of this will be either on our website or emailed to you afterward. I did this pull quote that I really liked, and it said, great leaders know that how they fight a war often decides whether they will win the peace. So Harvard Business Review did this year-long project to analyze strategy selection and corporate performance during the past 3 global recessions. The first was the 1980 crisis, which lasted from 80 to 82. The second was the 1990 slowdown, which lasted 90 to 91. And then the 2000 bust, which was 2000 to 2002. In many of our lifetimes, we've seen 3 global recessions. So what Harvard Business Review did is they studied these 4,700 public companies and broke down the data into 3 periods. It was the 3 years before that recession, the 3 years after that recession, and then of course the recession itself. They divided companies' responses, the way that they drove the strategies during these recessions into 4 broad categories. Starting at the top, there was a prevention focus on cost cutting. Every decision was viewed through a loss elimination lens. They do more of the same with less, which often lowers quality and customer satisfaction. The second strategy was promotion, really kind of just doubling down on investing into recession. It was almost like a heedless optimism that ignores the gravity of the situation, early warning signs. Companies in this category like add-on features and bells and whistles when actually customers are looking for greater value. The third bucket was a pragmatic approach, which is actually kind of they defined pragmatic as a haphazard combination of both prevention and promotion. So it's kind of like slashing costs, doing that sledgehammer, while also promoting things without really looking at the why. And these companies tend to over-rely on reducing the number of employees. So cutting back on people, but also adding a lot of fuel into growth. The fourth was a more balanced approach, and they called it progressive. These companies get the prevention promotion balance, the balance of those first 2 options. And they get it right by evaluating every aspect of the business model. Think of that scalpel. They make near-term changes that reduce costs now and after demand returns, unlike laying off people. So what are the odds that companies in these 4 groups will significantly outperform their rivals? Outperforming being 10% or more on a both top and bottom line growth after recession? Well, the progressive companies, as you see, that last bucket, outperformed 30% of the time. And the quote from Harvard Business Review was, progressive companies stay closely connected to customer needs, a powerful filter through which to make investment decisions. So let's revisit that. Stay closely connected to customer needs. So how do you start today and plant that tree to become a progressive focused company? Well, more on that in this next slide, but I'm going to warn you, this next slide is a lot, and you will get a copy of this presentation. So just take it all in for now. So here's the big graphic. I couldn't think of another way to break this down other than just copying it and putting it in the presentation. So Harvard Business Review said that progressive companies stay closely connected to customer needs, a powerful filter through which to make investment decisions. It's time for personas, people. And if you have personas, it's time to revisit them. In other words, knowing and meeting your clients where they are and where they are right now is more important than ever. It's time to look at the personas. Marketers typically segment according to demographics. Over 40, a new parent, middle income, or maybe lifestyle, a traditionalist, a going green, hugely popular here in Austin. But in a recession, this segmentation may be less relevant than our psychological segmentation. It takes into consideration consumers' emotional reactions to the economic environment. So this chart is a persona segmentation showing the changing behaviors in recessionary environments across product categories. And the product categories, if you say from the top, from left to right, are essential, which are necessary for survival or perceived as central to your well-being. The next are treats. They're indulgences whose immediate purchase is considered justifiable. Postponables are needed or desired items whose purchases can be reasonably put off. And then expendables, perceived as unnecessary or unjustifiable. And so we've got those type of products, and you can kind of pause for a moment and think about where your products that you offer and so forth fall across that segment. And then let's think about your personas, okay? They call these, I thought it was really fun, slam on the brakes. And these are the hardest hit segment. They're the ones that we see in the hot headlines every day. They may reduce or delay or really even eliminate spending. It includes lower income buyers, but people also remember that this is also a high anxiety buyer of all wealth levels. This is somebody that's slamming on the brakes because they have to, they don't have the income, or they're super, super scared, and it doesn't matter how much money they have. The next category down is pained but patient. I mean, this segment has a near-term anxiety, but pretty positive in the long term. It's often the largest segment. I think this is who I kind of bump into on a regular basis. My friends and family are scared, but they do see that there will be a light at the end of the tunnel. More bad news may push us, this group, into the slam on the brakes segment. But pretty reliably, we're pained but patient. The next is the comfortably well off. This segment continues to buy it at almost the same level with a little additional selectivity about purchase. It's mostly made up of wealthy consumers and then live for today. This is like our FOMO crowd, right? It's a segment that skews young and urban with a focus on experiences over stuff. They generally are unconcerned about savings, but they may delay a major purchase. So let's look at the behavior change on the right. It spans from a low change from the bottom to a high change on the top. So you can see as someone is more nervous on the top left and an item is more expendable across the top, there's a high likelihood that we're going to change our behaviors. Where are your personas in this? Where's your product on this? And how is it going to be impacted? It's a great chart for you to slow down and reapply to your personas today. So another thing that I was looking at is it's time for crisis communication. We were all hit super hard in the beginning with emails from everybody. The New York Times reported, said maybe it was that one store where you shopped while on vacation a few years ago, or maybe it was that online service where you just used just last week, but it's all the same message that we were getting. And I think a lot of these have subsided, but businesses are flooding us everywhere with their email list, with the coronavirus updates, tips on staying healthy, words of encouragement. And you know what? It's much to our dismay now. And I love this quote this tweet from Laura. She's works at the Small Technology Foundation and talks a lot about ethics and inclusivity and privacy and works in dev. And she said, unless your company is emailing me to tell me how you're paying your employees, your contractors during this time, I do not care for your coronavirus marketing email one bit. So save outbound mass messaging for critical communications. Before you send an email again to your entire email list, remember you're communicating to a highly over messaged environment right now with game-changing news popping up one news item, email, text message at a time. We're overloaded with messages from the government, employers, doctors, our kids' schools. We all have to install new apps, Zoom conferences, go to webinars in order for us to take advantage of being connected during this time. So unless you're like canceling an event, rolling out a product, doing some crucial information about product inventory or delivery time, lay off of the mass emails and let's get into some segmented, very targeted messaging for your client base. Even better, why don't you let your clients come to you, making sure that customers can find answers to your questions easily. And hint, hint, this is the core of inbound marketing. So that's kind of an observation, those last three segments that we did about what's happening today. And these next 4 bullet points will go through our tried and true inbound marketing segments or objects. But first, we kind of have to talk about inbound versus outbound. I've been looking at some of the questions going back and forth, and you all look like you're a pretty experienced group with inbound marketing. But for everyone's benefit, let's do a quick level set and see what Seventh Scout is talking about inbound marketing. I always think of like the magnet versus the megaphone. I think of inbound as the magnet. It draws people towards you. It makes you attract the ideal customer. And then outbound, I think is like it's a megaphone. It's feeding potential customers information and content based on what you feel is valuable, what you want to say at the moment, not really taking into consideration who you're saying it to, where they are, what they're going through. So with inbound marketing, customers find your business via the valuable content that you produce and share. Outbound marketing, on the other hand, is known as interruption marketing. Doesn't sound real nice right now. It operates under the belief that if you feed someone enough information, eventually they will want to do business with you. Well, marketing stats that favor the trends that we're seeing in inbound marketing, and these need to be updated almost on the weekly, but about 200 million Americans have registered their phone numbers on the do not call list. I also think about my mobile phone. I've got so many people in blocked now, and I won't even let them come through. I'm an AT&T cell phone subscriber, and it comes through as telemarketer or spam. I love that my cell phone company that relies on my connectivity knows that they need to get the most important messages to me, and even allow me the opportunity to know that they think it's a junk call. 44% of direct mail is never opened. 86% of people skip television ads. 84% of website visitors leave a website because of intrusive ad marketing. So even websites can do interruption marketing. So you can see by these stats, people don't want to be talked at. Customers are tired of being suffocated by companies begging for their business, and instead they want to be educated and provided with a solid reason to utilize a company's products and services. So let's talk about what inbound marketing can do, and it really helps increase brand awareness and brand trust. So how do you get your brand out in front of this growing online pandemic audience? Once they've found you, how do you show them that you're a legitimate, trusted resource? Well, inbound marketing helps with that. When you use inbound marketing to reach your potential customers, they learn something valuable about your company and the service or products that you provide. As they consume your content, they learn about you, and they begin to associate your company directly with whatever type of product or service that you sell. Inbound works for brand awareness. You don't have to have an abundance of content for your audience, but it has to be valuable. It has to solve a problem, address a pain point, or so forth. Thinking back to your personas, every piece of content you create, whether it's a video, social media post, or blog post, podcast, it needs to be marketed by your brand standards, which means like every time that your audience consumes some of your content, they need to see your logo and hear your brand communicated. The more they're attracted to you visually and through your content, the more brand recognition you will receive. It creates trust, and consumers really want to build relationship with brands they do business with. They want to get to know the faces of the content and understand the real reasons why they should choose your brand over another. People are just tired of being bombarded by information, and they've kind of turned off their ability to consume content that's delivered to them without their consent. So let's talk next about the magnet. Like, how do you make inbound marketing work? You have to implement a process to attract, engage, and convert your potential customers. I loved this graphic. It's from Inbox Insight, and they had a great blog on 10 steps to creating the ultimate B2B inbound marketing strategy. Now, although it's unique, inbound marketing is unique in its approach, you still have to find the people you want to do business with, going back to those personas, and communicate with them. The most commonly used methods of attracting this ideal audience, with inbound marketing are, let's start from the top left, blogging. Creating blog posts that demonstrate what your business is about, the type of services you deliver. You give people a reason to visit your website and learn more. SEO, we did an entire webinar on that topic, and you can have a link to search engine optimization, how you're making sure that you're using the right keywords, the right terms to attract people when they're looking for that information at that exact right time. Email marketing. We talked about email marketing as a mass communication for crisis communication, but email marketing really can also allow you to strategically segment your audience and target them with the messaging that meets their interests. Therefore, you can easily convert people into customers by sending sales offers and information that entices them to buy. Social media, did an entire webinar on social media as well. It's one of the top forms of communication today. It enables brands to offer information to an audience and create that feeling of trust. Platforms like Facebook and Google even offer businesses the opportunity to present their information to an audience that you can pay to specifically put your information in front of them that's proven to be interested in your specific goods and services. Other advanced content creation, podcasts. A lot of folks, they may not be commuting right now, but a lot of people are seeking out podcasts and rather than reading through your content. and trying to get away from the screens. Infographics, great way to consume content as quickly as possible. Landing pages, that is a perfect demonstration of looking at your persona and putting together a page that's specifically targeted to them. Chatbots, we're pretty, instant gratification right now. And if you put a chatbot on there, you can get the right information, the right visitors quickly and they can even make an on-the-spot buying decision. And up there at the top, I don't know if the company was intentionally putting videos out right there and blog at the very tip of that magnet, but we certainly believe in the impact of videos. Some people like to be audibly and visually engaged in content to learn, and it helps them learn the best. For those people, videos are the best option. Furthermore, there's 5 billion videos watched on YouTube every day. That should be enough to convince you that videos are a credible marketing tool. So how do you bring all of this together?
And can I just jump in real quick, Lynn? We had a question on the kind of focus on the last slide of where would you start? This is a question from Shannon, which is a great question. We hear this a lot. And I think that in this day and age, it really has a lot to do with this slide and the previous slide, and really knowing who your persona is at this point in time. Knowing who your target audience is going to help inform which of these many channels you might want to start with when you're diving into inbound for the first time.
Awesome.
So it really is, in inbound, it's more than just the individual channels that you choose, and more about the integration of those channels to reach that audience. So great question, Shannon.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for slowing me down. I get all excited and going through here. You all definitely need to remind me when there's some questions popping up, because I am focused on these slides right now. So thank you so much, Rhodes. I really appreciate you. So moving ahead to the automation tools, here at 7 Scout, we definitely 100% believe that you need to use technology to automate a lot of these processes. It puts critical time back on your plate and will keep you very structured. I heard somebody say the other day, "What's today?" And somebody said it's Blur's Day, and I definitely related to that. And automation tools help you get some structure on a normal day, and particularly in an environment like this. I think we all need a little bit of extra help. 7 Scout, we're platform agnostic. We've worked with many of the different inbound marketing platforms. I heard someone say one time there are 10,000 different companies and software tools that classify themselves as inbound marketing. Some of the big ones, the industry leaders, are HubSpot, Marketo, Salesforce, Pardot. Even people, can utilize MailChimp. It's seen as an email platform, but definitely can be used in that specific segment, MailChimp as an inbound marketing platform. We have the closest relationship with HubSpot. Our team has decades of combined user experience with HubSpot. But these tools just give you the structure, the framework, and the automation and guidance to grow the traffic to your site, to convert leads, to boost your productivity, and improve your ROI. So identify your personas, create your branded and specific content to speak to them. That's the best use of your time. You're the subject matter experts in your business and in your content, but then let the automation tool do what they're best at. And automation tools or processes that we rely on on behalf of our clients is, managing, organizing, and segmenting email lists to improve open and click rates. Creating, managing, and scheduling social media posts so you can avoid visiting each channel each time you have to post. Make sure when you're using these automations, particularly in our ever-changing environment, we're not going to set it and forget it. You can map out your content calendar, but make sure you're checking in on them at least on a weekly basis, if not on a daily basis, because an optimistic post can turn tone deaf in a minute in the environment that we're working in right now. You can also use these inbound marketing automation tools to design and build optimized landing pages using forms and workflows to notify the right people when a lead interacts with your page. It really is just like being able to tell your sales team when someone used to walk in your front door, well, these landing pages are now your front door. You can develop targeted campaigns and assess their performance in real time and eliminate using different reporting tools. You can host your brand's blog if you'd like on some of these as a template. So you don't have to design something custom when designing your content is more important. You can also view the customer profile and journey using the built-in CRMs and track the interest and engagement from each one of your customers. I mean, this is just scratching the surface of the online automation tools. Highly recommend going through and looking at some of these industry leaders. If any of you are considering weighing one versus the other, I know Rhodes has done this before, is scheduled, just a quick audit of your current situation and seeing which tool might be best. Again, we're platform agnostic. If you happen to be deeply entrenched in HubSpot, we are a HubSpot certified partner and offer complimentary audits and the ability to go through and make sure you're leveraging that tool, whether you're an in-house team, another agency, or whatever. We're always happy to sit and share knowledge. Our 7th Scout motto is be nice, make better. And I can't imagine a better way of showing that. So true to form, we're coming up just a little over 30 minutes. We like to keep these webinars dense, so we could put a little bit of time either into Q&A if you have some questions, and if not, the ability to go get a bite to eat or go back and have a little bit of free and reflective time. So as I'd mentioned, we have the opportunity to answer some of your questions right now, or shoot us an email. If you shoot an email to hello@seventhscout.com, our team will get that and we'll put it into the right hands for any product specific or thought leadership specific question that you might have. We have a few more webinars that are coming up. This one was basically just inbound marketing strategy. Our next one, 2 weeks from today, will be inbound marketing for sales teams. We are familiar with inbound marketing as the best way to offer meaningful content designed specifically for your audience, but where outbound marketing can be disruptive, inbound marketing forges those connections. But despite having marketing in the name, inbound activities are actually hugely beneficial to sales teams as well. Products that fall under the control of inbound marketing serve to get more business, transform leads into valuable customers, and in general, make the sales team's job a whole lot easier. So a solid inbound strategy, either built and sustained internally or with the support of a marketing agency, will ensure your current and future customers are supported. So your sales and marketing teams can work together in inbound, and we'll be discussing that 2 weeks from now. In the end of this month, on June 24th, again, every other Wednesday, one of our team members said that she's hearing a lot from her clients and prospects about how they're using inbound automation tools as well as video hosting platforms such as these, like GoToWebinar. There's also GoToTraining. And how can companies in this looking like prolonged the great lockdown time be able to execute and build online training programs? So we'll be hosting a webinar, some kind of the best and brightest about leveraging these inbound marketing tools and these online platforms to help you build an online training program. We'll be coming back after the 4th of July date on our next webinar, our first one in July, on July 8th. Putting this as a save the date. That's about a month and a half away, and we are smart enough to know that we don't know what will be going on then. But we do know that we are committed to having webinars every other Wednesday until people stop showing up and stop consuming the content, which would also be a nice thing to have. So thank you guys so much for joining us today. I'm checking in. It looks like there's some questions and answers being answered on the screen, but nobody has any specific things that they're looking for right now. So be safe, check in, let us know how we can support you. Go to seventhscout.com, search through our blog, or shoot us an email at hello support@seventhscout.com. Thanks so much, everybody, and we'll talk to you very, very soon.